welcome to another vlog. I want to show you guys how to put graphic designs on skis today. I put up a TikTok the other day and people were really into it and really excited about the process of designing graphics on skis, which is actually a pretty niche thing to do. But once I described the process, people wanted to do it. They were saying how it was their dream job and everything. So it's kind of crazy because when I went to fashion school, I didn't know some of these jobs existed. I did internships. I had to do 6 internships before I graduated, and I ended up picking a lot of companies that weren't really on the program of the school I went to, just because I wanted to try things that were a little bit different. And during that time, I did a graphic design internship in Vail, Colorado, and also a fashion design internship at Volcom in Newport Beach, California. And both of those kind of showed me a different side of the design industry that I wasn't aware of prior. So personally, I think it's really interesting to see people in industries where you might not know that these jobs exist. So I wanted to go through that in case any of you out there feel like you might want to get into designing graphics on skis. But first, I'm gonna get ready for the day. In the mountains, my face gets so dry, and so I'm gonna steam it. I'm gonna spritz myself a little bit. It's got some essential oils. I like putting this on first and then kind of steaming from there. So we're gonna let this steam up. Do this quickly, and while I'm letting it steam up, I am reading. Oh my gosh, you guys. I'm so obsessed with this book. I was so excited about it because that I ended up buying it for myself for Christmas. And it's this girl, JJ Martin. She is a fashion designer. It's just so good for like creative people. The inside is so beautiful too. She talks about moving from the US to Italy, and it's just the best coffee table book. So I'm gonna read that while I'm steaming. Steamer just finished. Do I look glowing? I am obsessed, like especially with this little thing. This woman says, "A bottle of wine is an acceptable but boring hostess gift. I'll bring a little something from Prada. If not, I'll bring a book." Like, I feel like this whole book is all about how it's all about mixing high end with like thrifting. So basically, all in all, about having a style that's really interesting. And that's kind of repetitive throughout this. Like, a lot of the women are like, I don't use any products that anti-age me. I don't get any Botox or anything like that. You have to go all natural. And then the next thing they'll say, like, I bring Prada as a hostess gift. Or like a lot of them are about having fresh flowers all the time in their house, which I need to get on board with. I just told my husband that I want more fresh flowers. Sometimes you just gotta drop little hints. And it's just so interesting because I feel like Italian women are the bomb. Trying to introduce fika into my life, which is a Swedish concept of having coffee and a treat like twice a day. Here. So it's the art of the Swedish coffee break. And so I made one of the recipes out of here. This one was just called apple cake. Yeah, so this apple cake is gonna go with my coffee that I just made. I swear this should be a thing in the US. Like, there's cafes, but no fika. Who wants to fika with me? All right, let's get into ski designing. So like I briefly mentioned, when I was in college, I had to do a bunch of internships, and I did one with Volcom in California. During that internship, I was part of the fashion design team, but Since it was a very loose internship, I was allowed to kind of go elsewhere and see what other people were up to if there wasn't too much designing to do that day. So I used to go outside to the shed and hang out with these really cool guys out there who were they were basically making the structures that they used for trade shows and things like that. Any type of shows, these guys were just out there. And it was like a playground. Like they just thought of ideas and then they would like construct them and bring them to shows. I was like, that's the coolest job ever. But also there was a team inside that was the snow team. And I remember distinctly going up to this girl. I wish I knew who she was because I wonder what she's doing now. But going up to this girl and I saw that she was designing graphics for their next season's coats, outerwear. And I was like, do you have to snowboard to do this job? She's like, well, I snowboard. Yeah, it's probably like helps a little bit. And I was asking her more questions about how she got into it. And it was basically, you know, she fashion and she also was a snowboarder. And so it kind of fit together really well. The thing is I didn't even realize that these jobs were out there. Like the school I went to was in Cincinnati, the University of Cincinnati. I was pole vaulter on the track team and I was really more into sports than I was into fashion. I went to art school because I was always really artsy. I drew a lot and everything and I liked just shopping. And so I was like, well, let's just combine the two, fashion design. So I wasn't like gung-ho into it while I was in school. I was more hanging out with my track friends and then doing design, you know, and I had to put a bunch of time in. It was a 5-year program. It was really intense, but I just wasn't, you know, I was just there. I was having a good time. It was college. It was awesome. And I had to do 6 internships before I graduated. So a lot of my classmates were going to, it was called a co-op program, and a lot of my classmates were going to these internships that we had connections with as a school. And some of those were Abercrombie and Fitch. So obviously that's based in Ohio. So like a lot of Ohio jobs made sense. So in Columbus is Abercrombie. And then in the Midwest as well, like in Minneapolis is Target. A lot of people went there. In Texas, I think was JCPenney. So a lot of these big corporate companies would take interns because they could pay them. And I was more all about finding cool jobs in cool places. And for instance, the Volcom internship did not pay. And moving from Ohio to Orange County and not getting paid for an internship, maybe not the best business move at all, but it was very fun. And I learned a lot. And obviously, like here I am doing something that I saw happen for the first time there, which was really, really cool. I did not grow up skiing or snowboarding or any type of that. I remember asking my parents if I could go skiing when I was in high school, and they thought I was going to break my leg and not be able to play basketball, which was one of my main sports. And so I never went until I learned to snowboard in college when I did an internship in Vail. And then I learned to ski after college. Like you guys probably know, I am now married to a pro skier, but he didn't have his pro model when we met. And so he had a ski sponsor and he asked that ski sponsor if they could send him a blank pair of skis. And I took that blank pair of skis and then asked him what he would want designed on it. And I drew up a design like that. So let's start there with what I did in order to do these hand-drawn skis, because I think that's the easiest way to start. Is you might not get skis with a company right away, but you could take an old pair of skis, or if you could get a blank pair of skis or even a white pair of skis from some company, this would be the perfect starting point to see if you even like designing on this format or see if you're good at it and ski around on your own pair for a while. And if people recognize it and they really like it, then maybe this is the job for you. This is our shed of toys. Owen does not use these anymore, so they're kind of here. He took the bindings off and put them on his new pairs, but this is what I designed at first. I love this design because I made it so that it was reversible. I'm actually impressed with myself because that takes a lot of time to do. So for example, you can have them this way or this way. So usually, you know, you put the specific one on a foot. I don't know. A lot of people put the same one on the same foot every time. But this one, you could switch them up since they are the same exact ski and wear them either way. And I absolutely love that about them. So for these skis, since they were just a base of a ski, I didn't have to buff down the old one or anything because we got just the ski as a starting point. The only thing I did was used enamel paint. Enamel is almost like nail polish or the same thing as nail polish. So it stays on a lot better. Think of the difference between just regular paint and having nail polish on. The nail polish is just so much more durable. So I used enamel paint for all of this, and then I did spray a coat of polyurethane on top. If I used acrylic paint, I would probably paint poly on top or even go with something stronger. I was looking up a couple stronger options this morning, and there was one called like Quick Diamond Quick or something like that, or if you guys have a good one, leave it in the comments. But if you don't use enamel paint, you're gonna need some really strong top coat. And you can see, like, I used these for a season and it actually kept on really well. You can see there's some fading right here. And then where his bindings were on, those rubbed some of it off. So it's definitely not like the most permanent thing, because if you think of real skis, they have like an epoxy coating on top or like as part of the top sheet. So it's not gonna be even close to as durable as that, but you can get it as close as we can by doing the correct steps. Owen is out skiing today. It's actually turning out to be quite a nice day out. This morning it was really cloudy and I didn't feel like going out skiing, so that's why I'm here telling you about this. We've gotten a lot of snow in the past few days, so the backyard is now looking very wintry, as is our table, and that's so fun. It's really chilly out there. And in addition to that, say you don't have a pair of blank skis that a ski company can send you, because more than likely you probably don't have that sitting around, but you might have an old pair of skis. And the way I would do an old pair of skis is to first buff out the top sheet. I've done this on a snowboard. I haven't actually done it to skis before, but you take the top sheet, you buff it out with like sandpaper and clean that off completely so there's no residue left, and then paint a couple coats of primer on it. You can just use like a basic all-purpose primer, but make sure you do that step. I used to skip primer back in the day, and you're just wasting your time if you skip primer. So we will be primered. So make sure you primer. And then you can paint. I would still use enamel if possible. You can buy enamel paint on Amazon or something. So just try that. But I actually use paint markers that are enamel. Crink, this brand out of New York City, makes these markers called K42. I'll show you them so that you don't have to guess. And these markers stay on really well. I've been painting in here. My box of paint markers. They have so many. This is a Crink marker, but you can see it right here. It says acrylic and it says K11. This one says K11. That one is not the enamel one, because they actually call it permanent ink. Yeah, right here. So it's called just the Crink paint marker, and it is K42. So I have found that those ones work best. If you want to go the paint marker route, you want to go just painting enamel, you can also get this from Crink. Just have had a good time with this brand. They come in these bottles like this, and it says K60, but it works the same. So that's also an option. Well, a lot of stuff that I use when it comes to art stuff is trial and error. And I think your best bet when you're trying to do something is test a little spot before you do a whole project, because it could make or break the whole project. So after I designed those skis for Owen, he ended up going with a different company the next year. And part of that contract was that he got to make his own ski model, which was the perfect transition from freehanding on skis and then going to designing the graphics, which would be professionally printed on skis. It was really cool that I got the opportunity to do that. But I would say if you're just starting out or a graphic designer that wants to get into printing on skis, then the best way to do it would to do this. I'm going to show you the TikTok movie I made about how to create skis. It's just a minute long, and I think it describes the process really good. One of my internships while I was in college was designing for Volcom. I saw somebody designing the graphics on skis and snowboards while I was working there, and I became obsessed with the idea of being able to do that. I was not a skier or a snowboarder at that time, so I had no idea how I was going to make it happen. But through some, I don't know, crazy manifestation, I ended up marrying a pro skier who has his own ski model, and he needed graphics done for his skis. At the beginning, I painted on the skis directly. He doesn't use these ones anymore, so I had to go find them. These were really fun to create because I got to put him as a little image on it, and then I painted on the rest, his name, Ellipse, and then I made them so that they could also be reversible and they would also work that way. And that's probably my favorite part of these skis, is that they can be reversible, or you can wear them this way. After we did those, we really wanted to get the graphic actually on the ski, and he ended up changing companies that he was sponsored by. Creating a ski design is kind of hard because it's a long and skinny design. And oftentimes when you're drawing, you're not drawing long and skinny designs. So you have to draw something that's going to work really well on that type of profile. To create the ski, I drew the entire thing on Adobe Fresco. Here's what all of my layers look like as I was working on the design. And this is what the design ends up looking like. Super long and skinny with the company's name and my husband's last name. And we wanted to add elements that he was really into, you know, all these kind of outdoorsy elements, waterfall. The mountain is Mount Owen, and his name is Owen, so it was really perfect. If you've been in the Tetons, there is a Mount Owen, which is pretty cool, and then just kind of a liquid form going through it. It was really cool to see these first skis come to life. This is the finished ski, and it came out really good. Meyer does their skis so that there's no white, it's just this clear color so that you can see through to the beetle kill wood underneath. This ski is a really fat ski, so after we created that, he wanted to make a ski that was more resort friendly and a little skinnier. So for that one, I took inspiration from Delta Lake in the Tetons and created a new design. This design was also done in Adobe Fresco, and then I took it and we took it to the skis. Really cool to see art on different types of products like this, especially skis, because I'm skiing every day. And even if you want a pair, you can get a pair. They're on Meyer's website, and also Owen's skiing on them every day. So if you see them out in the wild, make sure you say something. The biggest thing when trying to work with companies is to show companies what you're capable of. And I found this a lot in different parts of my design career, but especially if I wanted to design skis for a company, I would definitely make a mock-up that I could show them that looked really cool. Because think about it from the company's perspective. If you just go up to them and say, hey, I want to design skis for you, they're probably going to be like, okay, and then forget about you the next day. But if you go up to a company, and it's so easy these days just to DM or email a company, and you have a little mock-up of skis that you made, and you're like, this is what I can do for you. A lot of companies license artwork. So I've actually licensed artwork out to a ski company before, not this one, but a different one. And you can do either a flat rate per year or royalties based on how many they sell. And that's like a whole licensing talk in itself, which I also have a licensing workbook if that's something you want to get into. But that is a great way to go because you can make a reoccurring income. Licensing is so solid. But to expand on that TikTok video that I showed you about how you can create a mock-up, the thing is, so this is the second design that I made for Meyer skis, and we called it the Teton, which is really fun. To make something like this, you're gonna need an illustration program, and that can be Procreate would be the cheapest, or the Adobe programs if you're already a designer and you're already creating stuff like this, then you could create it in that. Just make sure that your resolution and the size of what you're using, if you're not using vector, make sure you're using the exact size of the skis so that it doesn't pixelate once it's on the skis. But yeah, it's very straightforward. You would basically just draw a design and make sure that you put a ski template on your design because, for instance, when you see these together, you will see that there's a part of the design that's cut out. And so you don't want to have one of the main things in your design be right here. And then all of a sudden it's cut out and your design looks really funky. So make sure that you have the actual template of the skis that you're gonna use so that it looks realistic. And then use cool colorways. Everybody loves good colorways. That's just a random tip. I just think that you should do that. And then, like I mentioned also in the video, just take that design, put it in a cool Canva template, and then poof, you have something that looks really professional. And then put it out on social media over and over and over again. If this is your dream job, you better act like it's your dream job and really get your name out there because people get excited about new things. Yeah, not everyone will get excited, but people love seeing new things like this. And especially because I feel like skis have been the same for a really long time. If you have something new to bring to the mix, like that can change up a whole company's sales. If they have skis that look cool, people are gonna buy them. I would say it's a fact. The funny thing is I actually have this pair of skis that blank. I had them send me it because I wanted to draw on a pair for myself and then I never did. I've had them sitting around for 2 years, but I think I'm gonna paint on them. I don't know, maybe we should do it on this video and then I can go through the process with you. Oh, that's a good idea. And this is the other pair of skis. This is Owen's everyday ski now that I designed. Sway. And they do this see-through right here to show the beetle kill wood, which is the wood that the beetles are killing. In Colorado, it's like a really big problem. So they use that wood for skis so that it doesn't just die and cause forest fires. Those are super fun. Those are the 2 skis that I designed, and I'm excited to design more. I want to make a girls collection look really cool and not just put something together really quickly. So that is my next goal for skis. So if you're creating, let me know what you're creating, and at the same time, I'll probably be creating something too. My husband just got home, and look, he brought me flowers, just like I told him I wanted yesterday. Aw.
You never feel the way I feel. You don't know if my love is real. Baby, listen to me, here's the deal. When you're not here, I'm not the same. I'm reading a new chapter, babe. Been stuck here in a bed for days. I've been staring at the...
This is harder than it should be. I'm drawing mock-ups to see what I want on my blank pair of skis. I don't know why this is such a hard decision, but I do have to look at these skis while I'm skiing. I want to make them really cool. I want to make them unique, something that you don't see on the slopes. So I'm trying to figure out what that is. I think for one thing, I definitely want them to be neon because neon colors don't often happen in printing. I think because they're just hard to get that really pure neon color. No, you just don't see them much. Maybe it's just because they're not trending, but I know I want those colors. That's what I've got so far, is just a little starting point. I've got a really, really rough mock-up of an idea that I had, which is kind of a mesh between florals and leopard print. We're using neon colors, but I don't want it to turn into like Lisa Frank. I don't want it to be too 70s. I don't want it to be just full on neon. I want it to look really nice and cool and have, I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna continue on. I'll show you some ideas in a sec. I can't believe I'm just learning this. Oh my gosh. I just figured out what I want my ski to look like, and I didn't even know this type of printing technique existed. I've had like a couple things on Pinterest, this one print in particular that I've been using a lot for my color palette because it's got these like neon colors that I think are really cool. And I just figured out why I love the color so much is because the print was done in this technique called Riso or risograph, and it's a different printing technique than a regular laser printer, which is a CMYK, but this type of one can print neon colors. I'm watching a YouTube video right now explaining how Riso works, and it's very involved. I'm guessing it's probably a really expensive way to print, but I haven't got far enough into it. I've just gotten so excited, but I'm gonna show you a little example of what I mean when I say Riso. So look at this. This is just a random thing on Pinterest, but the red is like a neon red, and then the other parts of the print are normal colors. And I had no idea that this was from a different type of printing style. So anyway, rolling this back to my ski that I'm going to paint, I'm gonna try to manually create this Riso style on the ski, because maybe that's why there's not typically neons on skis, because the printer they use might not have that capability to do neon. So it's all kind of making sense now. So I'm going to try to make a Riso ski. I'm so excited. All right, let's go. Okay, here I am a week later. I came up with the design exactly a week ago, but then we legit woke up and decided to chase a storm 12 hours away to California. So I haven't touched any painting things for a whole week. And it was literally 1 week ago right now. We woke up at 9 a.m. Owen was like, let's go to California. We packed up in an hour and left. So that's a different vlog. I have a whole vlog of our time in Tahoe, but I want to get back to painting the skis because I want to show you guys exactly how I do it. And this is if it's freehand. So I did pick out the colors that I want to use. I decided that I'm going to go fluorescent. I think that's going to be really cool because you can't really get fluorescent skis. I think a couple of companies are making kind of neonish, but I'm really going to try to make this fluorescent. I do have some fluorescent colors like fluorescent pink, red. I have a couple of fluorescent creek markers. I'm not sure if I'm going to use these because I'm not sure what the longevity is, but I think I'm going to put a top coat on this whole thing, so it might not matter. I have some inks, and then I have some just bright Nova colors in general, and then a couple random paints as well. So, and then I think I'm going to kind of make it like an abstract painting, sort of like this. So there will be like some heavy colors on the bottom, and then I'll do just kind of abstract movements on top. I am really pumped about this, if you guys can't tell. I will show you guys my, ooh, I don't know if I should. I don't know if I should show you my mock-up that I made. Yeah, I might as well. I was gonna go skiing today, but then I got so excited to do these skis that I didn't ski. But I'm really excited because once I make these skis, then I can put bindings on them and ski on them. And I feel like they'll look so different than everything that I've seen at the ski resort so far. And I am so pumped. So this is my first idea. So basically, like I mentioned to you guys, I wanted to kind of bring out this Rizo sort of feel. And this was a Rizo print that I found online of just like Rizo colors that you can make by overlaying different colors. And so I kind of just want to go with this full on neon feeling. So I did this one and then I actually drew up a lot of them, but these were my favorite. And every time I look at them, they make me smile. So this was a different one too, but I don't like that as much. Yeah, so they're a little bit different. The one was a little bit more like spray painty kind of look, and this one's more overlaid. So it's probably gonna turn out more like this, but I'm actually really anxious to try this because I don't know how it's gonna work. And like once I lay the color down, I can't go back. So I'm really anxious to go. All right, let's do it. Okay, I've got my setup ready. I actually went from my carpeted room to the hardwood because I was afraid that I would spill onto the carpet, which is much harder to get off than hardwood. I have all my paints here, at least the ones that I think I'll be using. The only thing I need to make sure of when I'm doing this is I'm gonna first of all go from light to dark so that I can overlap and I don't get too dark too quickly because I definitely want these to stay bright. But also I wanna make sure that I don't basically put like 3 colors in any one spot because 3 colors typically can create like a brown or like a muddled color. And I really wanna keep this as bright as possible. So yellow and red, like blending to make orange, that's great. But if I get like yellow, red, and blue, and then all of a sudden we have brown, that's a problem. So I'm gonna do kind of one color at a time, and I'm not gonna do it exactly as I laid it out because I want it to be kind of intuitive as I go. So I don't know. We will see how it turns out. This is really nerve-wracking because I don't want to mess up, and I think I should have started in the center so that I could kind of practice a little bit before, because like the bindings in the shoe goes over the center. So, and I think I should practice in the center first before doing like the tips, which are the most visible part, but I kind of already started. Here's one of the crazy parts about paint is this yellow. This is 3 different yellows. We've got fluorescent, and then this is a kind of like a regular yellow light, and then this is an ink. So they all create a different type of yellow. You might think that all the yellow has the same brightness, but it's very, very different, especially the fluorescent, because the fluorescent almost has like a lime green hue, and so you have to take that into account as you paint. So it's almost trial and error as you go. It's really hard to know what this is gonna turn out like before just doing it. So I guess that's what's making me the most nervous right now. I have made like the worst mistake you could make as a painter by not testing out the surface. I thought that it might be a little too slick without priming it, but I also thought that it was ready for paint to be applied because I've done this work using ink, but I didn't use acrylic last time, and now I'm seeing that basically it just scratches off to white, like nothing was ever there. So I might actually, I can't decide what I'm gonna do. I'm either gonna take all of this paint off, or I'm gonna hope that a top coat can keep it on. I am just about finishing up with these skis that I started a while ago. It's about time to finish them. I have bindings in the mail and I'm putting a top coat on. I've already put 2 layers of top coat on, but I'm gonna put a third just to be safe. It took me a while to figure out what top coat I wanted to use because I was thinking at first that I would use an epoxy, but I think the epoxy would make it too stiff and then it would crack when I was skiing on it. The best move would be to go to a ski manufacturer and get them to spray on a top coat, but I'm doing it at home. So a lot of you guys probably are doing it at home if you're gonna try it, and we gotta have something that we can do at home. So what I did was I use a lot of these paints from Nova Colors. Let me show you how many I have actually. Wait, I came with this. This whole shelf is full of them. But they have some mediums and some varnishes that I wanted to give a go because I really like their paints. So I thought that their varnish would probably be good too. They had an exterior varnish, which is what I want. It says that it's water resistant, which I would really prefer waterproof. So I still don't know how it's gonna work out in the elements, but I'm putting on 3 coats of that. I mean, I put on a medium at first, the matte gel, and then this one is, an exterior varnish. So I put 2 coats on already. It's feeling good. I think my worst case scenario would be if the side peels up and then it peels off, but I'm trying to get it a little bit on the side, but not touch the metal part, and we'll see how it goes. So this is my 3rd coat, and then I'll put the bindings on and we'll go skiing. Use a soft brush when using this because you don't want too many paint streaks, and then it'll go on a little bit white, but rub it out really thin and it'll dry clear. I have got my skis mounted and they're very good. They're shining in the sun. Don't put them in there very hard.